Hi there and welcome along to episode 0, the kickoff of A Serve of Leadership. My name is Ian Crawford. I'm a professional speaker, trainer and coach specializing in leadership and influence. Joining me is the one, the only leadership coach and consultant, Ash Dashley. How's things going, mate?
Mate, absolutely fantastic. And you?
Very excited about this, very excited.
Oh, please, I'm the ants in my pants, as they say.
Probably too much information to start off with, but mate, we'll just go with it. So Ash, tell us, why are we here?
Mate, we're here for two key reasons. Number one is both you and I love this idea of being able to help others, right? And so we wanted to be able to take the opportunity to share knowledge, experience from, I guess, learnings from, our 40 odd years of being in this game together, to find way to help leaders, in their day to day. And number two is, I guess, the idea around dialogue sort of leading to development. So what we're hoping is through the conversations that you and I get to have, that extends into conversations through other parts of the community that will help to challenge our thinking, but also continue that conversation from a wider perspective, right? So it's about how we sort of push the overall idea and thinking by sharing the conversations that we're having. Those are probably the two key ones for me. Anything else for you?
I totally agree with you, and I think we're aligned with that. And like you mentioned, we've been talking about this for a long time. And
we're here now. We're here
finally.
Now.
Go COVID. And I think that we both agree with the byline of your company, Crafting Great Leaders. It is a craft, it is an art. There's dashes of science and there's dashes of personality, and an opportunity to explore that in this setting, and in doing so, helping leaders, I think is very exciting. And we both our businesses are driven by helping people. It's really important to both of us. Yeah. And I truly believe, no more than any time in history, our leaders are desperate to be better at what they do. And hopefully this short conversation each week, condensing key elements of leadership, it will help those people. And
absolutely. It's that I think it is, mate, I don't want to say this too often, but I do agree with you in this instance, is that we both understand the importance that leaders play. And here's, I guess, one of our small pieces that we can help continue to drive the importance and the development of leaders everywhere, right? Forming that community to help leaders get better at their craft.
And I must admit, there's probably also, if I'm going to be truthful, is a bit of a selfish reason as well. The work that both of us do is incredibly lonely. We're on the road a lot. We're one-on-one with people where, we don't get a lot of time to spend with other people in the area that we work in. And so an opportunity to dissect and challenge each other's thinking around leadership and the delivery of leadership is a rare and a very exciting opportunity for me as well, because we're boxing by the boundaries of our own thinking. And it doesn't mean that's right, though. So I'm excited about having the conversations.
Mate, well, look, tell me then, one of the things that I think we should do is we should probably take a little bit of time to, provide the listeners and the viewers out there a bit of an understanding of who we are. So, mate, tell me a little bit about the work that you do.
The work that I do is leadership and influence, as I mentioned in the introduction. And what that means in my mind is this. I'm interested to talk to leaders about how they take information, how they process information, and how they deliver that information.
Okay.
And how that intersects with the people around them. And what I'm trying to do is increase that understanding about that process inside them that allows them to flex and bend and deliver their messages from a performance point of view, but from a cultural point of view, to people around them, that influences them and gets people inspired and lining up with them to move their organizations forward. And it stems from, observing workplaces getting more and more diverse. The reasons people turn up to work are getting more diverse, ranging from a pay packet to doing great things to, there's just so many reasons. And for leaders to be able to not just use their default settings to run into the workplace and just throw out their default setting is a real challenge for everyone. And I must admit, I'm really interested in the science and the internal processes that occurs, but I'm also very, very interested in regards to allowing leaders a greater self-awareness and a greater understanding of their own processes that allows them to connect with other people.
Yeah, I think you and I are both nerds on the inside, and actually probably nerds on the outside too. If we're honest about it, mate. So tell me, give me an idea of what maybe an average week looks like for you. Like who are you working with? Give me some sense.
I'm really lucky that I have a very diverse group of people. You know, I grew up in the sports industry, working with high performance organisations, both here in Australia and globally, which got me some real interest in regards to how individuals tick around high performance.
Yeah.
Which, when we go generically like that, that really attracts me to many organisations. So I work probably about 20% of my work is with not-for-profits. And that ranges all the way through to finance organisations, to oil and gas, through to iron ore and coal and gold, and everything in between. So, which makes me stronger at what I do, because I get to have different conversations with different people, but also really challenges me. So very diverse.
What is an ideal interaction for you? Now, when you're talking about this leadership and influence work that you do, what's an ideal interaction for you?
The ideal interaction would be looking at the endpoint. The endpoint is that either looking in people's eyes, or they come up to me afterwards and go, I get it why people think I'm a dick, or I get it why. Is that technical knowledge?
Yeah. I don't remember reading that in the research papers, but maybe it was paraphrased a little bit. Yeah.
Or why people think that, or and why the younger group don't understand me, or people aren't doing that. You know, that really aha moment that they've been getting in their own way. But I must admit, one of the most exciting, ideal situations is with these leaders who come up to me afterwards and either just state it out wide or ask questions for greater clarity, that they take this leadership, this communication, this influence stuff and take it into their personal world and have better conversations with their family and their friends, and have and mostly, because mining industry, mostly males, is what we work with, is they get to have, you know, better conversations with their kids and influence them to greater places as well. So that's my ideal, that, you know, and they have the skill and the potential inside them to be able to have real great influence and great impact. But that self-awareness is the key. And that's my exciting week or exciting day. How did you get to what you're doing now?
That's a really interesting question. How did I get to doing what I'm doing now? I would say the funny thing is, where I started is I literally tripped into it.
Okay.
So I was studying many years ago, and one of my mentors at the time was doing similar style work while I was finishing off some postgrad studies. And he literally invited me. He said, look, I'm running a session with a big oil and gas company. I've got a team of, I think, 15 or 20 managers in the room. I need you to do some, we're doing some work around high-performing teams, and we're going to run some activities. And literally he pulled me in and he said, right, here's your learning points, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Here's your team, right, go do it. And I literally got thrown into that activity. So as a 20-year-old with leaders who are probably in their 40s at the time, trying to teach them around how they can get better at their team dynamics, was how I actually started into it, and realized that I really loved it. Like, I love that teaching side of thing. I love that developing that challenging side of things for people. And most importantly, I love helping. Like, I love that idea of making someone's life a little bit better. So that was actually how I stumbled into it. And then, you know, once you get the taste for it, for helping to develop and challenge people, it's very hard to get out. So I've stuck with it 20-something, I lose track, but 20-something years later.
What has changed in regards to your clients and your delivery skills since then?
Delivery skills, I'm sure, have gone backwards in that time, no doubt. I think it's probably more where I'm a little bit luckier is that, to some extent, especially for capacity now, my one-on-one time with leaders now is probably a little bit more selective, because it is so important to me that I'm adding value and contributing to people that I do want to, with a lot of direct leaders that I work with now, I do work with over a longer period of time. So a number of my coaching engagements will sort of run for that 6 to 9 month period where we work on a number of leaders of developing leaders rather than just leadership. So for me, one of the underlying elements around a lot of the work that I do is that it's actually focusing on leader development rather than leadership development.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is that it's all well and good having the skills around how do you have a hard conversation with someone, how do you performance manage someone, how do you lead courageously, whatever it is, is the skills that people are trying to learn. But if the leader themselves doesn't have the awareness around, how well they can manage their own optimism, how well they can be clear about what their guiding principles are, they're not going to be as effective as they need to as a leader. Just as if we don't manage the vessel or the body of the leader themselves, so if they're not getting their sleep, if they're not keeping their nutrition levels at the right level and their body's not functioning at capacity, well then they're not going to have the energy and the requirement to be able to deal with things effectively. And the fourth ingredient for us is looking at what I call the community side of things. So again, these great leaders not only are impacting and contributing to a community, but they also have a really powerful community of networks, trusted individuals who can help provide feedback, challenge them and things like that. So often it's not just around what skill can we develop them, what's the skill of their trade, it's how do we develop them as leaders overall becomes important to me. So in terms of where I tend to spend my time now, that's kind of the work that I really enjoy, is helping to develop leaders from a holistic perspective rather than just from a skills perspective.
So what you're saying is you work with crafting great leaders. Is that what you're telling me?
God, it sounds corny when you put it that way, but that's what I genuinely aspire to.
Where did I get that idea from?
And the reason is that I genuinely believe that this is how we change the world, is we help people get better at going and achieving the great things that they want to do. Right? So there's a lot of amazing people out there doing wonderful things. And if we can get more of them into, key positions with community and organizations, that is our way of being able to change the world. Yeah. So that's what I like doing.
I love it. So one question, last question, the 2 parts.
Oh, thank the Lords.
So what give us an idea about what your perfect week would look like. And part 2, while doing that perfect week, who are you working with?
I guess it's like-minded individuals. So it's the individuals who really understand that their leadership journey is a journey. It's a journey to mastery. It's not just the role or the position that they're in. So I do work a lot of time trying to make sure that, especially for the one-on-one engagements, that they're the people I find I can help the most, is that that they are aligned with the thinking to say that, you know what, this leadership is an important journey that I'm on, and I may never perfect it, but that's not the purpose of it. It is just that mastery of craft that we're trying to achieve. And that is balanced with a collection of those individuals that I get to work with. And to me, it doesn't matter which organization they come from. So, similar to yourself, I work with a lot of global resource companies. I work with, other global defense contracting companies, national organizations here. But some of the most enjoyable work is working with leaders from them, but also leaders from small organizations who are up and coming, but have powerful missions that they're driving. So I really enjoy that piece. And a perfect week for me is interbalanced between a whole collection of those kind of things where I can really help people to get a little bit better at what they're doing and to challenge them on their journey. Ideally with a little bit of effort, which, I do need to get a little bit better at.
Yeah.
And driving some of that balance within myself. So ensuring that I am continually finding opportunities and new ways of learning so that I can then be sharing some of that information with the people that I work with. And I probably should spend some time with my family as well. As a perfect week. Although sometimes I feel like they don't agree that I add value to their week necessarily. I think sometimes
just go away, Dad. Just go away.
yeah.
Have you got
It's a bit like that.
Yeah. Right, mate.
like
I'm
that.
really looking forward to putting this together with you and discovering and learning with you. And hopefully the ripple effect of that is that people that are going to follow along with us will also do the same thing.
Yeah, and challenge us and keep those conversations going. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Ash and I will be putting out a new episode of A Serve of Leadership each week, and we invite you to join us as we continue to discover and learn about leadership and how to do it really, really well. If you have any topics or questions that you would like to ask us, our contact details are below. Please feel free to contact us, and we will definitely respond to what you are saying. So thank you, Ash. Look forward to the journey. Catch you next week.
All right, thanks for your time, Cole. It's always good to chat, and let's crack on into it next week.
Looking forward to it. And thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.